Hello and welcome. Today we are featuring the University of Arizona in Tucson, Arizona. This large state university is home to over 35,000 undergraduate students. The rugby program began back in 1969, making it one of the most long-standing collegiate rugby teams in the country. Today I'm joined by Sean Duffy, who serves as the Director of Rugby and the head coach of the men's D1A program. Coach Duffy, we're excited to hear about the Wildcats' rugby journey, ambitions, and all that lies ahead. Thank you for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
If we dive right in, can you tell us a little bit about your background and how you found yourself in Arizona?
Yeah, so they recruited me out here, just like I'm recruiting the boys now. And I was living in Philadelphia, working full time for USA Rugby, coaching at St. Joe's and St. Joe's Prep. And they moved me out here, and it was a full time rugby position. And since then, it's evolved a lot, which I'm sure we'll talk about. But I went from working from home as a full time rugby coach to now being a director of rugby, sitting in my office with a golf cart and everything. So, yeah, life has changed. The weather's still awesome, but it's just been a journey that I'm really excited about.
I bet when you lived in Philadelphia, you never thought you'd be getting around your job in your golf cart.
Never dreamed of that. No.
Can you tell me a little bit about the rugby program in Arizona?
Sure. Yeah. So for us, it's a daily training environment, first off. And, most recruits that contact me or that we go scout are looking for that. But, rugby here on our campus has just been promoted actually out of club sports. So we're what's called an elite team sport alongside ice hockey and wheelchair basketball. And we're on the field, pretty much every day doing stuff. And the boys are coming in from all around the world. It's about 90% non-resident and about 35% international. So for us, we just want the best and the brightest, and character matters. So for us, that's a really important piece of the culture, and we're just building that every day. And we play in a year-round rugby environment, which I'm sure we'll talk about, which is kind of unique. So it's definitely drawing some interest.
So let's talk about that. What is your year-round playing schedule like, your weekly training regimen like? How does that work?
Yeah, so we made a change a couple years ago to just playing 15s all year. And for us, like sevens is great. If sevens nationals comes back, we'll definitely look into it. But for us, playing 15s year round, we know that to really develop these guys, we're aiming for 20 matches a year. And it's really hard to get 20 weekends, but if we can get close to that, get up into 16, 17 matches. And for us, that really means about 30 matches when you include our second team. So we want to play year rounds. We'll be on the field pretty much when they get here in August, all the way through till May, with obvious breaks for the holidays. And that's what guys are looking for. They're looking to grow and play, and we do some fun things too. It's not all work, but they definitely they definitely buy into this process, and it's a grind. And so for us, we want to see guys that want to come in and embrace that process. And we're getting 70 guys right now that are doing that. So we're pretty excited about it.
That's great. So with the travel schedule, you are in the CRAA D1A, the elite section, but you're an independent team. So can you tell me where you go to travel, how you get
Mhm.
there, how that impacts the week?
For sure. For us, our school's in the Big 12, and rugby in the Big 12 isn't really a thing yet. So we're working on that. But in the meantime, we just want to play everybody. So we'll go all around the country. And for us, we'll go coast to coast. We'll fly places all over the world. We've been overseas on tours before. We're bringing those back at some point. But the primary focus for us is, we're going to play mostly West Coast teams. Obviously, our furthest bus trip is going to be Southern California. Anything beyond that, we're going to fly. And a lot of these programs are busing 10 to 12 hours, and I know what that's like. I'm not flexing right now. Like I did that. We have been through that, but we're really blessed to have supporters with our alumni, parents, families that they want to see us do things and do well. So we're blessed to fly to some of these places now, and we'll sign guys out of class, so everything's taken care of. I can't even proctor an exam, which is awesome. I've proctored a chemistry exam recently. That was fun, but yeah, we're treating them like real athletes, and I think there's nothing wrong with club sports. Club sports helps us get where we are, and we still do a lot of work with them, obviously. But really try to treat these guys like student athletes that are more in line with the main sports we see in American campuses. Is kind of the vision here.
So are they responsible for financing their travel in any way?
Well, we're subsidized, right? So we have small player fees that we charge, but we're about 85% subsidized. We know that if we were going to not have any support from the school or the alumni supporters, we'd have to charge something around $8,000 a year per player. We're nowhere near that. I can tell you that. So, for us to have to do that, it means fundraising. It means out in the community with our alumni, and the alumni are amazing. They are just so bought in, and for us, they come to every game. They were at the game last week, and so we're not putting that on the boys. No, we're actually able to. When we doubled our schedule, we were actually able to tweak the budget a bit and do some more things for the boys. So it wasn't, oh, now we're playing a double schedule and you have to pay more. Like that doesn't work. It's actually the opposite. We double the schedule and we're also doing A, B, and C to make these trips even better for you. And so
That's
those
great.
things that we're building each year.
Super. So, with respect to recruiting, can you tell me what the role is of international players at Arizona?
Sure. So we don't really, we don't worry too much about where they're from, but we do have quite a few, obviously, from rugby countries that want to come over. We have guys in the team right now from the UK, Zimbabwe, China, Japan, South Africa, Australia, New Zealand. They're from everywhere. We're looking for the best and the brightest, and character counts. So there are a lot of players that maybe will only get a little bit of film, but we want to talk to them and just kind of see what they're like. So the interview matters. And there are a lot of players that were seeking that pro contract in New Zealand or Australia. It's it's tough when you don't get signed and maybe some of your mates do. So we're there to show them that there is still a really awesome pathway where they can come in, play high level rugby, get a high level degree, be in a high level school where there's always things going on and the weather's awesome. That's not a bad fallback plan, if you ask me. And they come out with a great degree. Our graduation rate for the rugby program in my 10 seasons here is 99%.
That's fantastic. And
So
with respect to admissions and academics, Arizona is an academically, I guess, challenging school to get into, right?
yes, yeah, the average income GPA for us on the American scale would be 3.7. We're looking for A and B students, honestly. And for me, there are definitely things that come into play. Coach for a long time, and we have great support for students that have things like IEPs, dyslexia, ADHD, those sorts of things. So there is some understanding there and empathy, but doing well in school, like people watching this, do well in school. And really, those first 3 years of high school are so important. When students come to me, whether they're from London or from Austin, Texas, and saying, "Oh, I didn't do great my first 3 years, but I'm crushing my senior year," that's awesome, but it's too late, right? So it's those first 3 years that are so important, and we're really pushing students that are contacting us to really do well. I've had eighth graders and ninth graders emailing me, and it's too early to recruit them. I'm like, hey, this is great that you're so interested. I'm flattered. That's awesome. But you're a ninth grader now, so just do well in school. Go crush Fortnite. Do the things you want to do, and then in 3 years, talk to me because the academics are a huge portion of this to make this whole thing feasible.
That's a very good point. And it's one of the things I talk to kids in the UK about how important the academics are. And they make such a difference when it comes to the academic awards, the merit scholarships. And that can be the largest piece of the puzzle. So, absolutely, go do your homework, kids.
Yep.
So, tell me about your coaching philosophy and what are your goals for this season?
Now, our goals for this season, I mean, I think it's simple. It's we can say it's winning a national championship, and that's also obviously the goal. We reached the top eight last year for the first time in a bit. We bring back a lot of guys from that team this past year, so we're progressing, which I'm happy about. But it's really just process focused. Like, can we be process focused in everything we do? The outcomes aren't always in our control, right? And so for us, we're trying to get guys to buy into that. My philosophy really comes down to trying to take our rugby seriously without taking ourselves too seriously. And I think that line is something you need to walk. It's yes, we want to be elite and high performance and stuff. Yeah, like 100%. But if you're taking yourselves too seriously, you take things maybe too personally. Or if you take coaching, you don't maybe take it as well. So we want to be able to laugh and joke and talk some trash and do some potty mouth words every now and then. But it's really about, can we get them to buy into process and be open to growth? Because it's so much growth for these guys, not just on the field, but off of it in these 4 years. I mean, like these guys grow up. They grow up in front of you. And yeah, it's I'm pausing here because there's conversations that happen as a coach every week where it's the guy in tears, not because he's like sad because he's not picked or anything, but just going through stuff or you know sometimes it's happy tears. Like I never thought I'd start, coach. This is amazing. I'm so excited. You're in a pregame chat. Hey, where is Joey? Like Joey's out in the out behind the changing room. Where is he? Oh, he's so excited. He needs a minute just to like get himself together, right? Like he knows his mom's watching back home. So those sorts of things, man. You want to be there for those guys. And coaching, if you're coaching a program that's a daily training environment, it's different because I've coached club programs before where you train two or three times a week and you have a 9 to 5 job, right? So like, and you got to go home and this job's not that. This job's more immersive, but that's okay because that's what I'm looking for too, is I want to be there to help these guys. And so yeah, that's kind of a long-winded philosophy, but that's kind of how it wraps up in a typical week.
So it is so important to get the right fit for a player, to find the right fit for a team, and a team to have the right fit in their incoming players. So what do you think makes the right fit at Arizona? What do you think makes your team
Mm.
special?
Right. Well, from an individual perspective, we will always tell these athletes the same thing. Please pick us, please pick a school knowing that rugby could go away. Rugby could go away at any point, whether it's what we saw in Central Washington with the program changing, or an injury or a sickness. Like rugby can be taken from you. And so we want to make sure it's the right fit for you. And that's when I see students that contact me wanting to transfer in, that's the number one thing is they get injured and realize it's not for them. So pick a school for the right reasons. In terms of what makes us special, I think right now you have a dichotomy in college rugby in the US where you have big name brand schools that are pretty obsessed with sports like football and basketball, which I get, and rugby is a little bit of an afterthought. And I'm not saying that to bash those programs. I'm gently bashing those schools a bit, like we wish they'd do more. And then you have schools that are more enrollment based, which are really invested in rugby, which is great. And we play those schools, but that may not be the size school that someone wants, or it may not be the location that someone wants. And we're one of, in my opinion, about 4 or 5 schools that are really doing both to where we can give you that big name brand school feel, but also a proper rugby environment. And a couple of those are like really, really fancy hard schools to get into. Like I'd say Stanford's probably one. Having been up there a bit, it's just really hard to get in there, right? So we're a little more accessible than some of those places. And I think it kind of, when you couple in the weather, it's just a win-win for a lot of families. And so we're seeing people that are not just going here, but staying for a grad degree. We're seeing families just move here honestly, like, how come your mom and dad are every game? Oh, we live here now. Like, oh, yeah, they live in Scottsdale now. They live in Phoenix now. So we're seeing more and more of that. And Arizona is growing, actually, like genuinely growing as more people move from California. So it's a very exciting time to be here. And I've seen Tucson grow a lot in 10 years. It was never bad, but now it's more bustling. So it's pretty exciting. People want to be part of it.
That sounds amazing. I can't imagine turning around and having more and more of your team members become locals like that. Uh,
Yeah.
Now, Arizona, obviously, we're talking a lot about the men's team today, but there is a women's rugby team, and I know that you're heavily involved in it as well. Can you tell me a bit about the women's team?
Sure. Yeah. So for us, my role as director of rugby is I'm head coach for the men's team, and I support the women's team with whatever they need. So I wouldn't say I'm heavily involved, but I'm there with what they need. We have a great head coach, Tatum Quimby. She's doing an amazing job. The girls are really pushing and working hard, and we've added more things for them each year. I think the biggest thing for them is it's true club sport right now. If you thought the elite team sport was just for men's rugby, that's not the plan. The plan is to have both teams doing that. So we have a plan for that and really just helping them grow. Sometimes I'm doing their Instagram, sometimes I'm helping with scrums. It really just depends. But we see it as one big rugby program. And within the rugby program, you have different levels, right? So you have women's rugby, you have men's rugby in the first team, men's rugby in the second team. We really have more like 3 teams, but it kind of becomes 2 teams. So for us, it's just a lot of rugby. And even we have days where we do things together. So for example, today's a Wednesday. We call it Work Ons Wednesday. We have men's and women's rugby players. Sometimes even working together, doing stuff like goal kicking and things like that. And it's a really kind of unique environment that we didn't have here 5 years ago. So it's a really good setup for us that we can help both teams grow, and it gives us. I'm also the adult that can kind of lobby for rugby as a whole. So if the team needs something, I got their back.
That's great. It's nice to hear about the team working together, and I know that's something that they do at Stanford. And credit some of the rapid development of the women's team with having those cooperative training sessions and things like that with the men, kind of pushing them along and helping each other. So it's fantastic to hear that you're doing the same at Arizona. Um, with your weekly training game regimen, how does an average week work for you?
Yeah, so if we're in a match week, we'll be on field 4 times a week, five if you include the Wednesday. For us, we'd be in the gym 2 to 3 times a week with the strength coach. We have two other lifting sessions that are drop-ins. We have our own private team gym for rugby specifically. So for us, guys can get there really mostly whenever they want. But those the strength windows are monitored by the coaches, which is helpful. We'll have film sessions, a couple meetings. We're doing more virtual meetings. Really post COVID, like the convenience of that is, hey, we're going to get on a quick Teams meeting for 10 minutes. We can do a lot of that and get a lot of things done. I'm not a huge in-person meetings guy. They'll have enough of that when they're in the corporate world, so let's spare them of that. And it's full on. We have something pretty much every day, but we do have fun things too. I mean, like we opened training yesterday with a bit of soccer or football for your audience. Like we had a little fun with it. The British kids were having a blast, right? So we're always trying to do something every day to make it fun. And then the boys are always doing things. We do a lot of cultural things off the field that the boys run without me. We also have priority housing for the boys for the freshman year. So we have the rugby guys paired up. So there's a lot of circles that we can draw to help them get the support they need, make sure it's fun for the grind of the season.
Wonderful. And could you talk a little bit about scholarships and how academic and rugby scholarships work at Arizona?
Sure. So we're blessed to have rugby scholarships here. We added those 3 years ago. We've grown them the last 2 years. They're partials designed to be coupled with an existing academic award. So we're really looking for students that are already getting a strong academic offer from the school that we can help, get them over the trial line, so to speak. But we're also blessed because we have a great international admissions department. Katie Van Wyck over there is my go-to, and Katie and I work together every week. Really try to find the best and the brightest. When I go on trips, I'm going to South Africa very soon. She's sending me with some stuff some t-shirts maybe to hand out and stuff, but really we're trying to find the best fit for the student. And there are cases where it's not a great fit, and it's a tough academic school, but most times if we get to the admissions step of the process, it is a good fit and that's where they want to be and we want them. So she's helping us through that process. And we have what's called the Global Wildcat Award, which is very competitive with our domestic awards. Whereas a lot of schools either don't do awards for national students or they're drastically reduced. Ours are really competitive and really up there. So we're seeing students that are getting very similar awards to what you get if he was from New York or Texas or whatever. So those two things combined, plus the fact that our international missions people are fluent in the languages that they need to be in, right? In terms of the admissions language. And I have students sending me things from Ireland and Zimbabwe and South Africa. Coach, I'm a 61 student. I have no idea if this is good or bad. I have no idea. In America, that's very, very bad. I don't, but he's telling me he's a good student. So, like, I've had Katie multiple times be, oh no, he's really good, or oh, we need to talk about this. So they help me kind of with that route to make sure that this is easy as possible because it is really confusing for families and for students. So we want to try to help with that.
Great. And it's nice to know that you have that support system in place at school as well. Uh, can you tell me what the University of Arizona is known for academically, and what do you think are the best things about your college?
Yeah, so for us, being Research One is huge, where all of our academic programs are very strong. Being land grant means basically we have a lot of different things going on, but the biggest thing for me, Melanie, is student teacher ratio. So 35,000 students, you're probably thinking we're in the 20s, maybe 30s. We're 17 to 1. So to have a ratio like that means it's a lot more personalized than people realize. So that's the first thing that people see when we're driving around the golf cart. They're like, this is not as big of a campus as I thought, but that's a good thing. It's about 1 square mile. The second thing would be the academic programs themselves. For us, College of Science is the biggest, right? We have our own spacecraft, we have our own hospital, biosphere, all this stuff going on. We're number one in astronomy, so there's a lot there. Eller College of Management, our business school, is the largest college in the rugby team. So the boys, which I'm sure want me to push Eller, right? So Eller is a big thing here. And engineering is another big one. We're seeing more and more of those. We had a guy in a visit a couple years ago that pretty much committed after he learned that we had our own nuclear reactor. Like he didn't care about the stadium or the gym. He really didn't care. He just like, yeah, the reactor was that sold it for me. So there's a lot going on here academically, which is really exciting. We also have a lot when it comes to things like nature and planes. I know those are two very weird things to put together, but we have our own farms and horses and stuff, and we're near an Air Force base. So you'll see jets flying over. We had three overhead yesterday that were in formation doing stuff, and they freaked everybody out, which was cool because we have a lot of aerospace mechanical engineering guys. So there really is a big diverse group of majors, but the big ones for me, if students are looking at Arizona, would be science and business. But really, we have anything. We've even got oceanography, and we're landlocked. So don't tell them that. But that's I don't know how that works for us, but apparently it's really good here for that. So yeah, we have everything.
Great. And I have one more question for you.
Sure.
Could you paint a little bit of a picture of the surrounding community? What is Tucson like?
Tucson is growing so much, and it's always been this kind of mix between Phoenix and San Diego and a bit of Texas, and now it's a university town. And so everything from the restaurants, the shops all aimed at the students, which is great. It makes things cheaper, safer, and more accessible, would be kind of what I see. But we've also got a bunch of nature around, so it's not just desert and sand. I swear, that's what I thought when I moved out here. Like it's, I swear, we have trees. The fields are grass. It's awesome. We have our own ski resort here in Tucson, but we've also got rooftop pools here in Tucson, right? So there's a million things you can do. The golf courses are incredible, and look, Tucson is always having something going on from a college standpoint. So LeBron James' son being in the freshman class is definitely picked up the interest in basketball a bit, even though it was already huge. Football seats 60,000 people. Homecoming weekend this weekend is going to be huge. I'm pretty sure Gronk's coming back because he's usually coming back for that. So there's always something going on. It's not a suitcase school where everyone goes home on the weekends. So for us, like people are coming here. If they're in school here, whether they're playing rugby or not, they're a part of something right away. The energy's always high on campus. The weather's a huge selling point because for us, is it hot in the summer? Yes, it's hot in the summer. I'm not going to lie to you and tell you it's not, but we're not really here for that. We don't really experience that. So we get people here at the end of August, and they're here most of the year at 75 degrees Fahrenheit, and the coldest it gets is 50, like which is like 10 degrees Celsius, right? So like shorts weather all year. I mean, it's really nice to have, and it opens up the door for playing rugby year round, but it also opens up the door for just being outside and doing some great things. So it's a really vibrant campus that people are excited about.
Now I want to move to Tucson.
Yeah, come on down anytime.
Thank you. And thank you so much for your time today. It was great hearing about the program and the exciting things that are happening at Arizona. And I wish you all the best of luck this season.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.